Thakanki, all praises to Yohewa Wakantanka. Praise be to the earthly mother, the Pachamama, and all of her earthly angels, the Huacacuna. Praise be to the Huacan Samai, the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit, in the name of Matzah, Yuehan, unification to the nation. So guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while. Been having a little bit of issues with my computer. Hopefully, this recording doesn't shut off midway. And we can continue our very interesting original topics that we've been discussing lately on this channel. Now, I did say that I would talk about certain topics on the next part of the series, but ideas just keep flowing, man. For whatever reason, I was heavily into astrology the past few weeks, and I'm just very, very fascinated with how much I was able to learn about myself as well as other people, as well as the whole universe. Truly, we are all microcosms of what is above. Us below, we are all microcosms of what is occurring in the skies. So, this video is where I'm pulling a lot of some of these concepts that I'm speaking about. This is one of the best videos I've seen in a very long time. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm going to put the link in the description if you guys don't even feel like searching it. But I definitely suggest, especially the brothers, look into this video. I'm going to discuss many of the concepts that she spoke about because she made a lot of very interesting points. Right? She spoke about a lot of taboo topics, and I just really appreciate bravery. I appreciate it. I appreciate truth and bravery in all things. So there's the video. I'm going to pretty much give my perspective on many of the things that she spoke about, and it's going to be interesting. Now, this video is going to be a little bit of a PG-13 video. Put the kids away, man. You might want to speak about this with them at a later time. And if your stomach can't really handle, really deep and concise conversations about sexuality, probably want to see you in the next one. The next one, I'll keep it a little bit more light, and we'll touch on more on earthly things. But to me, this is part of it anyway. Hold on. My sister's calling me. So, we're going to start here. Now, of course, this is my crystal tree of life chart, and I've added quite a great deal to it. So, here, you have... What's up?
I need some digestive enzyme. That's good.
I'll get it to you after, okay? Okay, so as you can see, I added quite a bit to it. And I've added... Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me get my thoughts together. So, the main two things that I've added are these pillars right here, as well as these energies right here. Now, this is not something that I've made up, right? You guys know that I'm into pretty much like making my own conclusions on other people's information, but this time, this is literally, the information regarding the Kabbalah and stuff like that. And I had to go back and forth with the placements of these planets and these luminary bodies. Because again, I like to make my own conclusions, but honestly, all of these planets are where they're supposed to be. And what really confused me was that a lot of the stereotypical male planets were in the female side, and the stereotypical female planets were on the male side. And the common theme among the feminine or female energy was judgment. And the common theme among the male energy or masculine energy was mercy. And I didn't get it until I saw that woman's video. And everything made sense to me. So we're going to come back to this. Actually, no, I think I'm just going to read it from here. So, to explain why this is like this, why planets like Mercury, Mars, and Saturn which are not so much Mercury, but Mars and Saturn definitely are associated with more, so-called male energy, right? They're stereotyped as that, and it's because they're very rough and they're very rugged on the outside. They're aggressive. But other planets like Venus and Jupiter or Neptune, these planets are very soft. So it would be bizarre at first to associate these luminary bodies with male energy and these harsher bodies with female energy. But the thing is that male energy and female energy have a lot of hidden dichotomy and duality to them in a way that I really did not expect. Starting off with Venus, because this is the example I'm mainly going to use, Venus versus Mars. Obviously there's other bodies, but I'm going to focus on the Venus versus Mars dynamic, because I think those are like the two strongest when it comes to, pure feminine versus masculine interests, right? So we're going to start now. So I said at their core, masculine and feminine energies are a lot more complex than on the surface level. There is a lot of duality. There is a duality aspect to these two energies. And if you want to think of it in any way, it would be this. It would be yin versus yang. And no matter what the gender, the physical gender of, let's say, two people, a man and a woman, there's always going to be a yin party and a yang party. There's always going to be a giver and a receiver, right? However, these energies are outwardly yang energies, but they're inwardly yin energies. So these energies of Saturn and Mars, right? These energies are more so yang energies. But energies like Jupiter and Venus are more so yin energies, on the outside at least, right? So outwardly, Mars and Saturn are aggressive, right? No, like people look at them and they're afraid. But when they see planets like Venus and Neptune, they're oh, okay, they're palatable, right? But pay attention to this in the middle of these energies, because there's always a little bit of each other in these energies, bro. There's always a little bit. And this actually is referring to what's actually on the inside, right? The truth is that this black energy, this yang energy, is used to protect this piece of yin energy in the middle. And this yin energy is used to protect this black energy in the middle. It's like a defense mechanism. So we're going to read. In the anime, if you guys have watched the show, Rising of the Shield Hero, the main character has 0 to no offensive abilities as far as his ability to fight, as he only has a shield. This is the dude right here. And in the beginning of the show, he was so, pissed at the fact that he just had a shield. He couldn't, hurt anything. He couldn't kill anything. He could only protect. But his personality is very callous, cold, and monotone. So even though he has this weapon that you would associate with being, feminine because it's used to protect, it's actually a masculine utensil or a tool, right? His female counterpart is the opposite. She is soft-hearted and soft-spoken, but has all the fighting ability in the group. This well explains the true masculine/feminine dynamic of the universe. Now, going back up here, I listed these Hindu deities of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. because, I've been looking into India a little bit. And when I looked into those three entities, I was just like, wait a minute. Because I mentioned them a few times already in past videos. And I was trying to equate them with, the so-called gods in the Hebrew Bible. And lo and behold, they're not very different from them. So let's get into it. We're going to start with, let's start with Brahma. So, let's read this part. A distinction between the spiritual concept of Brahman and the deity Brahma is that the former is a genderless, abstract, metaphysical concept in Hinduism, or what the Hebrews called the Ein Sof. It's genderless, as nothing. It's just nothingness. That's what Ein Sof or Ein means. While later is one of the main masculine gods in Hindu tradition. So later on, this Ein Sof becomes some sort of masculine entity. But before he, pretty much spread himself far and wide with his creations and made himself into, a man of his own, right? Not a man, but an entity of his own. He later became Brahma. Right? I don't think I have to read the rest of that. But going to Vishnu. He's described as the second of the two. And I forgot to say that Brahma is referred to as the creator. He's the ultimate creator. While Vishnu is the Pervader. I thought it was supposed to be preserver, but hold on. Yeah, it was right here. God of preservation. Now, when we read in the Book of Remembrance of our not our ancient grandmothers, the Brother of Jared, Book 2, Matzah, or the Messiah, he's the one who is pretty much your lawyer in court in the heavens. He's your lawyer. And he's trying to preserve. He's trying to protect. Right? He's the protector. He's the God of preservation. Brahma, presiding deity of Rajas, passion, creation. One second. Okay. Vishnu, presiding deity of Sattva, goddess, preservation. Shiva, presiding deity of Tamas, darkness and destruction. So, Brahma is supposed to be, Wakan. Vishnu is supposed to be Matzah. So who's Shiva? Shiva is supposed to be the mother of heaven. And she, because I don't really know why Shiva is a he. I mean, in the Chinese literature, it's also like a he, but like some people say that Shiva is like either like genderless or a she. Like it just depends on the person's opinion, I suppose. But Shiva is known as the destroyer. Shiva is the supreme lord who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. Now, when I looked into what planet was associated with the god Shiva, it is the planet Saturn. Now, let's go back to this Kabbalah tree of my crystal spiral tree of life, I should say. Now, all these planet placements is where these planet placements are in the original Kabbalah. And I tried to mix and match them, but this is the only way it made sense. And I could never wrap my head around the fact that Saturn is the mother, is the celestial mother, is the Holy Spirit. It's so weird. This is Bina, or what I say in the Quechua, Yuyai. Right? It doesn't make sense. But it does make sense. if you go to the yin and yang. The reason why the mother or the feminine aspect is the destroyer is because, and I'm going to go to this right now after I say this, because the father is grieved by the wicked decisions of his children. Right? It's like a father coming home and the house is messy because the kids messed it up. Father can't have any peace in the home. And the mother, she notices that the father is saddened and he can't have any peace when he comes home from work. Now the mother gets mad and she gets her children in line because she feels embarrassed and grieved that the father is grieved. And that's exactly what Saturn is. Saturn is known as the karmatic planet, is known as the evil planet. But Saturn is not evil. Saturn is not evil. People use it for evil. Because what they use Saturn for is that, because Saturn is supposed to allow you to know why you're going through a certain thing. It's not supposed to just punish you and you don't know why. But it's because they're using witchcraft and magic and stuff. They're misusing the moon to project an image of like this false god deity. Like they made a whole god out of Saturn. They made a whole religion out of Saturn. Right? But the reason why a lot of these cultures, they seem to quote unquote worship Saturn, is not really that they're worshiping Saturn. Some of them do, but it's not really that they're worshiping it. What they're doing is they're trying to ease the pain of it. Because the Most High has made a universe to where if you do an action, the action has to come back to you. This is why I have to keep asking, the Old Testament Israelites, how did you get out of your Saturnian contract? What the children of Israel did is worthy of utter death. The amount of quote-unquote karma that they built should have been enough to destroy them. Because that's literally what the contract said. That was in the fine print. We signed the contract on Mount Sinai. Put it in the book. If we did this, we would be destroyed. Right? That was the contract. So who's your lawyer in court? Who's your lawyer? Saturn is the prosecutor. Saturn is the prosecutor. The mother is the prosecutor. Right? She's not the accuser, but she's the prosecutor. It's a difference. Satan is the accuser, and he's acting like he's the prosecutor. The prosecutor just wants to see justice get served. The lawyer is trying to preserve the defendant, you. The judge is just sitting by and trying to make a decision, the most rational and logical decision. Do you understand how this is literally a court? It's literally like a court. So I said I was going to go to it. Let's go to it. And unlike Wakan, the Wakakuna can seem to have anger in the expressions of their grief. And often during the course of the earth, holy people attribute that grief that seems like anger to Wakan, who in fact cannot be angry. So people saying, well, the Most High is doing this, the Most High is doing that. You have to rightfully divide what he's doing versus what the Holy Spirit is doing. Right? You have to rightfully divide that. This is because while the Wakakuna look with eyes of love, they can easily discern spiritual things. And they, being watchers of the presence, desire only for Wakan to be happy and fulfilled as our Father, and their grief is shown forth when they know of his disappointments and despair. So their grief is shown forth by devouring fires and the tempest winds, and the shaking of the earth, and when the waves of the sea cast themselves upon the land, and when the rivers bring floods, and when the rain and clouds withhold themselves, and with plagues of insects and disease. And all these are not acts of Wakan, but they are indeed signs of the grief of the Wakakuna, and something they are doing in their grief and despair. And for this reason, the righteous everywhere upon the earth must needs close walk with the Wakakuna, which is the very definition of righteousness. And it is becoming for the righteous to grieve with them, together to comfort them. So you have to have a very intimate relationship with nature, with the watchers. But the watchers are not only in heaven, the watchers are in the skies too. And if you guys remember, what was the first creation that Matza made? The first creation he made was quote unquote Dabaria, or what I call Rimaya. Right? The element of fire. Matza is the living waters. Right? He is the living waters. And his first creation was fire. So Wakan, his first incarnation, because not really a creation, but his first incarnation was Matza, the living waters, Neptune. That then came Saturn. Right? That's how it works. Saturn is like pretty much like quote unquote Dabario, because Saturn is the element, is a fire element. And that is what the Watchers do. All this stuff here that's all happening all around the earth, people also associate this with the movements of Saturn, aspects, and things of that sort. Why? Because that's them up above. As above, so below. They're not only on the earth. The Watchers are in the skies too. And they bring things about. So yes, Saturn, they are Saturn. Saturn is not evil. If you don't do evil, Saturn has nothing to teach you. You're good. But Saturn makes sure that you're in line. Because if you're not, then you're going to have to get the hell up out the house. That's how it works. After a while, you're just going to be deemed as bad children and you need to leave. Now, the father is always going to look for ways to get you back in the house. But they don't want to see the father suffer, especially if you're wicked. They're going to be like, no, you can't come back. You see how this works? See, the feminine energy is actually very destructive at its core. It wants to be perceived as being, warm and friendly because it is. But at the same time, there's a different side to it. And I'm going to show you why that's the case. But first, let's go back to Vishnu. Vishnu, the savior, the preserver and protector. Hinduism is one of the most ancient religions in the world, today practiced by nearly 1 billion people in the world. Vishnu symbolizes the preserver, the protector, and the sustainer of the world created by Brahma, as well as the law of the Vedas. Compared to other deities, he was believed to have a very collected and benevolent nature, with his central character as guardian, protector, and preserver of the world. This is Matza, bro. This is him. He was even known as a fish. This is a common theme of fish, water, Neptune, the living waters. That's what Matza means. Right? The fish, the age of Aquarius, the water bearer. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which symbolizes the planetary body of Matzah. But at the same time, he also is the planetary body of Jupiter. And when he came on this Earth, I think he's like the planetary body of the Sun. It gets a little bit confusing. This is also why it's taken me so long to attempt to make this video, because I don't fully understand this concept. I'm kind of making this as I know it, but I had to get out information. Like, I can't just sit on my hands until I perfectly understand it. I don't really operate like that. You already know me, right? Now, going back to it, Vishnu, he's known for having different reincarnations or incarnations. Now, I find this very interesting because people come against the New Testament. They say that, well, all these stories are borrowed from the Old Testament. And this person is like, what they call them, super Hebrew or super nigga and all that other stuff, right? And, they're mocking it. But they're only mocking it because they don't understand it. And it is what it is. But Vishnu was known for having different incarnations. This is why Brahma and Krishna are known as avatars or incarnations. People who are bringing his spirit pretty much down on this planet. But guess what? This is exactly what it says in the Book of Remembrance. Because all of these different quote-unquote high priests, they all brought a piece of him and his walk on, like, back on the planet. This is all done to further his will. Adam, the name that he gave was the Lamb of God. And you have the Word of God, the Word of his power, the man, the priest of the host, friend and brother, the only begotten, the Prince of Peace, the God of our fathers, the King of kings, the first fruits of God, Messiah of Israel. Emmanuel, Redeemer of Israel, God the Father, Son of David, Jesus of Nazareth, Son of God, Son of Man, the Lord of Lords, the God of Zion, the Lion of Judah, the truth of God, the Savior. You see? They're all here. They're all his quote-unquote avatar, right? But they're really just, they have a similar spirit to him. They're given a certain spirit, and they're here to do a task, right? As I said, Pisces represents the fish, and Aquarius is supposed to be like the pouring out of the fish. So the age of Aquarius is pretty much the changing of the guard, the pouring out of the spirit of Matzah, the living waters. Aquarius symbol is the water bearer, signifying finer energies brought down to earth. Aquarius hears what others don't, and brings a serious perspective to day-to-day events. This is a group and friend-oriented sign. Is known for interest in causes that advance humanity. And to read this real quick, and Shem opened his bundle, and it contained a small loaf of bread and a small preserved fish. And Shum looked upon it very surprised, and he said, I want you to always be like the bread, to join me in the spirit of the life of Matzah, who is in all things, so that our righteousness will abound. And with the fish, I want to be your friend, on an equal level with the Wakakuna, so that you will be the companion of all of us together. And I need someone who is willing to include the Wakakuna that I walk with in their circle of life. So this is, Shem pretty much talking to his future wife. But the fish and the bread, they signify the friendship that Matzah has, but he's also signified as the fish. He was born in Bethlehem, which is the house of bread. Then he grew up in Nazareth, which is a fishing village. So, anyway, now we're going to talk about a little bit more of the adult stuff. So, I'm going to clean this up as best as I can, but I want to really hammer in the philosophical how should I say this, concepts that have to do with male and female energy. Now, I said, regardless of mainstream popular belief, masculinity at its core is very mild, soft, patient, and calm-mannered. Femininity at its core is passionate, emotional, ruthless, and erratic. Now, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, because you need these energies, right? You need both of these energies. You need a preserver, but you also need a destroyer, right? It's just that we're not looking at these energies properly. Because if you're looking at these energies in the way that they're supposed to be looked at, then we can get back in tuned. If you really think about it, the masculine energy, or the energy that's more calm, right, is the one that's giving direction. And if you're giving direction, then you're in a position of authority, right? If the feminine was the one that's calm and collected, and the masculine was erratic, then the feminine, you're putting it in a position of structural, foundational authority. And that's just not how it was made. It's not. The feminine energy is supposed to amplify the masculine energy. But in order for it to be amplified, the feminine energy has to pretty much latch on to the foundation of the masculine energy. It cannot be the other way around. That's just out of order. And it just doesn't work. I'm going to show you why. And the best way that I can. Again, I'm not trying to offend nobody if this is really like, part of their sexuality. It's all love here, but I'm speaking my mind pretty much. So, continuing. These are traits mothers have for their children, which are very admirable. You will see this duality flipped in different ways on various men and women. If men are emotionally charged on the outside, they're usually very soft on the inside. And if men are soft on the outside, there's usually something darker and deeper on the inside. Now, to give another example, in chess, the queen piece is used as a protector for the king. The queen is the most powerful piece in chess, but the king is the most important piece in chess. Why? Because if you capture that, you win. If you capture the queen, you don't necessarily win, but you're severely weakened. That's the same thing with masculine and feminine energy. Chess as a game is very similar to how masculine and feminine energies work. Men by themselves, they can build something, but they're not going to build it very high. To give an analogy of how these energies work, right? And what Satan he likes to do is he likes to fool men into thinking that they can do everything themselves. And then on top of that, once he does that, he gets the women to do it. And then he flips the roles around. So where now men are chasing after the like some sort of feminine structure. He'll take all the men out of positions of authority, and he'll push the big mama in the house. Like, you don't build a structure like a structure on big mama. At the same time, the big mama caricature, she is used as a joiner, because women, they join things together. That's their second strength. They're joiners. Their first strength is amplifiers. Their second strength is joiners. So no one can bring people together like a woman can. No one can make something better, enhance something like a woman can. But if your family's moral foundation is based on the opinions and guidances of Big Mama, you're doomed. I'm just being honest. You're doomed. There's no hope for that. It's not going to work, because it's not what she's there for. Right? The woman runs the house, obviously. That's her domain. She runs the house. There's nothing wrong with people respecting the grandmotherly figure in the house. But if she does not have something that she's following, that's doomed. Is doomed. If she's not following the morality and foundation that a man is providing, she's doomed. It's over. So, this is a real, this is where I pretty much got it from. Like, I'm just trying to show you that I did not make this up. In the middle you have mildness, on the right you have mercy, and on the left you have judgment. Right? This is a negative energy and this is a positive energy. Now, let's get into Venus versus Mars. The energies of Venus and Mars are known to be the dynamic of male versus female. You know, Mars being stereotypically male and Venus being stereotypically female. But these energies actually work a lot differently than people would think. Now, Mars in the Vedic astrology is known as actually a sort of a mother figure despite its very aggressive nature. And because of the duality that is within the sexuality and gender roles of both sexes, Mars energy is actually feminine in origin, rather than masculine at its core. Again, this is an example of Mars energy, because at the center is actually looking to be led somewhere. It's all about action, but if you really look at Mars energy, Mars as a planet is not the leader. Mars is the second in command. It's the doer. It's the soldier. So it's actually more compatible with someone who is more like this. Even so, Mars energy is directly tied to the sexuality of men. It is because of this that Mars energy actually benefits women a lot more than it does men. On the left side of the crystal Saturn, that's my shit, bro. The Saturn, that means tree in Quechua. But on the left side, planets like Mercury, even though Mercury, doesn't really have a gender, but I kind of consider Mercury kind of more, outwardly feminine and inwardly masculine. That's just how I view Mercury as a planet. But it depends. And you have Mars and Saturn. They're actually feminine, right? They're actually feminine planets. While Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune are actually more masculine on the inside, while being more like feminine, or really I should say soft on the outside. So Mars women, they're usually, very like extroverted. They're usually very outgoing, in shape, right? But inwardly, they're actually the type that want to be led, right? It's honestly true. I don't know why it works that way. Actually, I do. I'm supposed to explain it. So, the reason why women or Mars women, they don't act like men. They just act harder. They act hard. They have a hard exterior, right? They have a harder exterior. The reason why they act like that is because they're actually more empathetic to male sexuality than other types of women, right? They're more empathetic towards it. They actually appreciate it in a way that other women don't. And because of that, usually when people like something, they imitate it. And this is what's happening on the outside. It's because they like male sexuality, they imitate it on their outside appearance and things of that sort. So this would mean that women with a lot of Mars energy tied to their sense of self are actually a lot more traditionally feminine on the inside. On the outside, they're usually very extroverted and outgoing, but on the inside, they enjoy feeling like the submissive or quote-unquote acted upon party. This is because Mars-based women are actually projecting what they like on the outside. It's their appreciation and empathetic nature for male sexuality, which makes them act in a more outwardly aggressive way. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. This is it's crazy, bro. If you guys haven't watched this video, the video that I shared at the beginning, you'll understand what I'm saying. Now, this is one of my new slogans. Your vibe attracts your tribe, so you need to be your best self. People say be yourself, but I say be your best self. Be yourself and do it well. So this is from one of my favorite movies, Emperor's New Groove. This is a very good dynamic of a Mars man. right, versus a Venus woman, which I'm about to discuss in a bit. So, on the flip side, Mars men are usually very intense and struggle with controlling their emotions. They're usually the men who like male companionship, I meant to say, or yeah, company, same thing, exclusively, and tend to like older women. So if they don't like males, I mean, if they're not around men or manly things, they're not into manly things, then, I mean like overtly manly things, then they're into old, like they like the company of older women, right? Older women fulfill that mother role that they're missing. They enjoy the stability they provide for them. Mars men usually have a very strong, bulky figures. Not all the time. Don't get me wrong. Not all the time. Some of them are real like thin and stuff. Like it's not always this, what it is. But usually, if we're being stereotypical, that's what it is. Now, Mars men, they would be on this side, right? So they actually would prefer something like this. They actually prefer a woman who outwardly looks very feminine, but inwardly, is kind of like dominant, right? It's what they prefer, is what they like, right? They like what it comes down to is that Mars men, the same way how Mars women, they appreciate male sexuality, Mars men, they appreciate male sexuality, which is why they're so they're really interested in it, right? They're heavily interested in it. So because of that, they actually prefer women who have this inward masculinity that they're missing. See, these two parties are missing a piece of each other, right? So this person would actually prefer this. However, the dynamic is not traditional, because usually the dynamic between a man and a woman is that the man is looking to act upon the woman. But in this dynamic of a Mars based man or a Mars dominated man, is that the Mars man is actually looking to be acted upon by the woman. Because this energy right here, this is looking to project outward. This energy, this black energy that this person has, is already projecting outward. So they're looking to receive this energy right here, this piece of yang energy. They're looking to receive it. So this dynamic usually has to do with a younger man and an older woman, because usually a younger woman, they would judge men like this, right? They're not going to want to be interested in a dynamic like this. Also, because the Mars man is, has a lot of outwardly yang energy, they prefer the motherly they prefer the motherly archetype, and they like things associated with breast, right? And of course, it's just what man doesn't? They almost exclusively like it, right? That's their thing. that's a very big deal for them, if that makes sense. So now, Venus women, opposite to Mars women, don't like to feel very submissive. They put on a certain act or image on the outside, as they're usually very feminine looking. They're usually very naturally pretty and stuff like that, because they have a lot of Venus energy. But on the inside, they're actually very vain in their thought process on how they judge and pick men, because they're usually picking men based on how they look. Mars women, on the other hand, they're not really looking to pick men based on how they look. Rather, they're looking to pick men based on how they act. Think about it. These men, Mars men, they're really almost not looking to pick women based on how they look. They're looking to pick them based on how they act. because they want to get acted upon by this woman, because they're looking to get their void filled. You understand? Now, the thing is that you would say, well, it's a bad thing to be vain, right? And judging people by how they look and stuff like that, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and it doesn't matter how someone looks, it's all about the heart, the heart, the heart. I mean, that's really like politically correct, and that's cool, but it's just not true. It's not true. And I'm all about honesty, about truth. There's a pro-truth channel, there's a pro-honest channel. We're just gonna be honest here. It is it depends on the person, but it is about looks. Why wouldn't it be about looks if the Most High literally made the woman the beautiful sex? He made the woman beautiful for a reason. Even children discriminate based on looks. Children actually like women. They feel more safer around women who are more attractive. They've done many studies on this. That children, they actually gravitate towards women with more symmetrical faces. Right? They just do. So, but the point is that Venus, the energy of Venus makes a person sort of vain. Right? It does. It makes them pretty vain. Because Venus is all about beauty. And beauty is vain. But which one does it make more sense for someone to have? Does it make more sense for a woman to be vain or a man to be vain? Does it make more sense for a woman to pursue a man spiritually or for a man to pursue a woman spiritually? Which one makes more sense? People are made like this for a reason. I'm not, when I'm talking about Mars men, I'm being a bit sarcastic, but at the same time, I'm not saying, they're the worst, because everyone's made in a certain way, right? They're made in a certain way for a reason. All I'm trying to do is express what isn't really spoken about in pop culture, because actually the men that they show on TV a lot, they're actually Mars men. They love showing overly emotional, intense men. And they say, well, this is the pillar of masculinity. And the type of women that they show are usually very vain. And all they care about is a man's physical appearance. They don't care about his character. They don't care about his righteousness. When that's actually what men are supposed to. That's what they're here for. They're not here to be beautiful. They can be, but they're not here for that. Women are here for that. Women are here to be the companion of a man. Do you understand how this works? It makes more sense for men to be vain than women to be vain. It doesn't really make sense for women to be vain. Not traditionally. Again, people are made in a certain way. But popular society pushes this dynamic here more than anything. Johnny Depp, he's a Venus-dominated man. And you will notice that Johnny Depp usually dates women who are a lot younger than him. Because Johnny Depp, he is attracted to beauty. He likes beauty. Usually youth is associated with beauty. This is why these type of women, the Venus-dominated women, they like getting with men a lot younger than them. Or men who are, either like rich or got a six-pack and, all that other stuff, but be morally deprived. They don't care about that. They just care about what they see, that's how they are. I've ran into a woman like this in college. I've run into a woman like this before. Because how I act in person, and I guess how I even act, on YouTube making videos. I'm a little more outspoken on YouTube because, my opinions don't really matter to people in person. But in person, I'm just like, whatever. I'm real, go with the flow. Unless you step on my toes and I'm like, okay. And I turn into a different person. I show a little bit more of my true colors. But other than that, if I'm just at school and I'm forced to work with you, then I'm going to be very cordial and very polite, right? I'm not going to, to bother you because I don't want you bothering me. And when I was acting that way, one of those Venus type of women, they were feeling me heavy. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm not even interested, bro. And she was feeling me until I let her, let her see a little bit of my true side, which is the, hey, go make me a sandwich side. and and that's when she bolted. But that's because I'm not looking to get acted upon. That's not what I'm into. I'm not into that dynamic. Right? However, I act in a certain way on the outside. If you guys notice, I have a very soft exterior. I promote a soft exterior. When I'm doing my live streams, I'm showing beauty. I'm showing the earth. I'm showing music. I have music in all of my videos. Some people don't even like me playing music, but I still play it. Why? Because this is like art to me. This is art. And I'm all into beauty, into art, into fashion and stuff like that. But why? Why? I'm going to show you in a minute. But let me read this. An example of this is Crunk and Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. Now brace yourselves, guys, because this is nasty as hell. But it's just something I noticed while I was watching this movie again, because I was showing my nephew this movie. But Crunk is actually supposed to be Yzma's boy toy. I know, it's absolutely revolting. But, I'm sorry, I can't. That's nasty as hell. But there's a reason the Kruger archetype is compatible with these sorts of men. Mars men usually build strong bodies because they find masculinity attractive. And there it is. The reason why they build very strong physiques and they're always in the gym, and there's nothing wrong with being in the gym, but the reason why they go out their way to do it is because they find masculinity attractive. It's the same way why the Mars women do it. It's because they find masculinity very attractive. But it's almost to the point where they're empathetic towards it. Right? Now, I've also noticed this about Mars women. Because both of my grandmothers are like Mars women. And I've noticed that I'm like, they treat me like I'm their favorite. And they always have beef with like all the women. Because Mars women are not very empathetic towards femininity. They don't really like it. They like their own version of it, but they don't really like other women's femininity. And that's how the Venus man is. At least from my experience. Venus men, they don't like masculinity as far as like, traditional masculinity. They don't really like it. I don't really like the burly, obnoxious look. I prefer the more, softer, communicative style. I like fashion. I like art. I like music and stuff like that. These are all feminine things. Right? But the reason why I'm into these things is because I don't find masculinity attractive. I'm not attracted to big burliness. I'm attracted to beauty, to women, because that's what beauty is naturally. It's women. It's not always women, but that's really what it is. And that's why I imitate it. Because that's what I'm attracted to. Right? And I'm going to show you a little bit more. I'm going to show like my chart and stuff. And, and you guys can look into your chart. I could give you a little bit of direction. I'm no damn astrologist, so don't expect too much out of me. But if you send me an email, I'll, if you want me to look at your chart, I'll look at it and I'll try to, tell you a little bit about it, right? To the best of my ability. But let me see. So So for Mars men, let me see where I was. So I said they aren't building big attractive bodies because women like it. They're actually doing it because they like it. Because again, Mars men are not very empathetic towards female sexuality because they don't really understand it. They actually think it's very gross. They think it's like, it's stupid pretty much. Right? Again, these are very extremes. These are extremes. Right? And because they like masculinity, they prefer women who allow them to feel like they're in a relationship with a masculine entity while still being in a heterosexual relationship. The woman also likes to feel she likes to feel like she's the party who's in control and the dominant one in the relationship. So these two archetypes make a good match because they allow each other to feel comfortable. And that's what it's all about, man. Like, be with someone who you're going to feel comfortable with. That's what it's about. Venus men are not attracted to masculinity, but are more attracted to femininity. And this is why they like the Mars man, because on the inside, he's actually very feminine. And by feminine, I'm talking about he wants to be acted upon. The Venus woman wants to act upon, and the Mars man wants to get acted upon. So Venus women like to have a masculine or mysterious vibe to them, usually, which I don't like at all. Like, I'm just like, ew, like, the hell. Like, I'm the one who's mysterious. I don't need you to be mysterious too. Like, what secrets we hiding? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we in some sort of like super secret agent family? Like, what is that? That's stupid. So, this attracts Mars men as they find masculinity and stoic behavior attractive. A Mars man and a Mars woman, or a Venus man and a Venus woman, would almost never make a good match for this reason. They just won't. I've seen it. I've even seen it on this channel. You see, a lot of the women that really don't like me are women that want to act upon men. They want to give their opinions. They want to teach me. And I'm just like, listen, that's not me. You could be 110% right? But that's not me. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. You got to go. You got to go. I'm just not into it. Doesn't mean you're bad. It just means I'm not into it. But this is how the universe works. Opposites attract. Like, it's all in magnets. It's all in the whole universe. And there's just a lot of complexity when it comes to, male and female energy. But this is like not a simple breakdown of it, but you can go deeper into it if you wanted to. So these are more examples of Mars-based men. Now here's the key word: emotional. You have Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars. Dude's definitely a Mars man because the woman he married was like a good 8 to 10 years older than him. A lot of his sexuality was attached to his mother, right? And then he attached his wife to his mother, right? You have Jesse Pinkman. This dude, definitely a Mars man. That dude was so annoying in that show, bro. In Breaking Bad. God. And then you have old boy here. Definite Mars man. And you have Negroes like this. See, I make a video stating my opinion strongly and firmly, right? Now, what a what a normal functioning man would be like, listen, I appreciate you, stepping up and giving your opinion, saying your truth, but I don't really agree, bro. Okay, no problem, bro. Hey, why don't we, sit down, grab a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but get some Strom Light water, and let's talk about it. Let's figure out something, right? Let's handle this as men, as rational men. But no, it's nigga. What the f you talking about? I think your dumbass don't know what the f you talking about. That's a Mars man, real emotional for no reason, right? You gotta know how to spot it, bro. Gotta know how to spot it. So, Pharrell is a very good example of a Venus-based man. I'm going to show you in some of these interviews. Pause this music real quick. So let me see. So we're gonna start with this one. So what you'll notice, even though like Venus-based men, they're usually like a little more softer. At the same time, they have a very stoic disposition about them. They don't get too high and they don't get too low. Mars men are usually very entertaining. They're usually extroverted, like Crunk. Like Crunk, he's hilarious, right? It's hilarious. Not all Mars men are all overly emotional. Some of them are just extroverted, right? So it's not always a bad thing. And not all Venus women are Krugers and real domineering, right? But there is that dynamic there, right? There is that dynamic there where they want to treat their significant other like in that son role, right? And they want to be in that motherly role. And there's nothing wrong with being motherly. I love motherhood. I actually adore it. But I don't want to get sunned. Like, that's not the thing. I can't do that, bro. I can't deal with that. But anyway, I want you to pay attention to his mannerisms as well as the things that he enjoys.
Last time you thought, I'm having real fun tonight.
I went to the Paris shows and helped with the show for Marc Jacobs.
That's pretty cool.
For Louis Vuitton.
Pretty cool.
That's
But
it.
was that actually fun for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because it was work, you know what I'm saying?
What does Pharrell like to eat?
Pop-Tarts, Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
Any vegetables?
Fruity Pebbles. I'm being dead serious. You're asking me what I like.
This is all stuff that's really bad for you.
Well, hello. Big kid here. Hello.
Right.
Gummy bears.
Yeah. All pretty cool sweets. What is Pharrell's favorite color?
I really love red.
Now, the reason why he is saying these things is because to Venus-based men, their swag and originality is very important to them. Like, they have to say things that are original, that no one else has done. And the reason why this is because they see their interests, their hobbies, their art in like almost like a phallus. I know it's going to get really weird, especially when I start, going into much more of the deeper sexual energies that are within many of these different groups. But they see people like him, they see their art as some sort of mechanism for shooting something out into the world. So anything that he does has to be him. It has to be original, because that's where his masculinity is actually coming from. See, on the outside, he's going to portray to be like, this soft, charismatic, warm dude that anyone can come up and talk to. But at the same time, he's going to like show his domineering nature in his originality, in his art, and what have you.
Okay.
Red
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool color.
Red is like, red makes a statement. Black is very crisp.
You want to see people like him get real domineering? Start telling them how to express themselves. Start telling them how to do their art, and see how that whole act changes. I'm telling you, bro.
Yellow is like the flamboyant side of between those two, believe it or not. But blue I love because of the smirks.
You wouldn't want to have a red bedroom because that's a bit intense.
Well, I wouldn't think of my favorite color for my bedroom.
Okay.
Your bedroom is supposed to be a tranquil area, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get all deep, but it is. It's supposed to be a place where you just relax and like, kick back.
Yeah.
Fire is like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. What is Pharrell's favorite book?
The Gods of Eden by William Bramley.
Okay. I feel like maybe you just said that to sound cool though.
Not at all.
What is Pharrell's favorite?
See, now someone who's more emotional, they'll be like they will get very defensive at that question. He just kind of brushed it off. That was kind of rude what she said, but he was just like, oh, not at all, and that's it. right? They're much more stoic than you would think. Now, I want to play this too, because this is going to show more of this stoic nature. Now, I actually should have got this song. I'll probably get it for you. Yeah, I'll probably get it for you guys. Just give me a second. But we'll play this first.
British television. Farrell, quick chat. Now you're a rap singer, hip hop, you're producer for Justin Timberlake and Nelly, and you do clothes, you do shoes, you do everything. Yeah, you're a busy guy.
Thanks.
Okay. Plenty of words, and not today necessarily, obviously, but you're with Lewis.
See, that made him feel a little bit insecure, right? Because it's like he thinks that men are just supposed to go on this whole spiel. Like, bro, like, I'm telling you, that's not really how, Venus men are. They don't like the spotlight on them. They want the spotlight on their creation, which is their masculinity, right? All that stuff that they do on the outside, that's cool and all, but they want you to see their end product, right? They want you to see the fruit of their labor, right? Now, this last one, now, just to warn you guys, I do not agree. Just because I like Pharrell's music and I like, how he carries himself, I do not agree with all of his theology. He's still a Babylonian. He's no one to look up to. He's not no damn role model or nothing. Right? So, just noting that. Now, I used to think very similar to how Pharrell is going to say. But I've become a lot more refined as the years have gone on. And, I've grown in my taste. Right?
Hurrah! This is so exciting for Brits 2014. What we want to ask you about, though, is... Girl, we saw the preview this morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to stop talking and let you speak. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Can you tell me more about it? Where the influences came from? Why you put it out today?
Well, we put it out today because we've just been working so hard on it. And it's finally done. And it's called Girl because it's just the way I feel. It's like, girls have been, and women essentially have been so incredibly good to me. And I just want to be gracious back and make a body of work that's not just, where I'm just looking at everything, but also talking about what's on the inside and what that means to me and what that means to humanity, essentially. I mean, think about it. Like, if the women in this country wanted to kill the economy, they'd just not go to work and not come home. And if they wanted to end our species, all they needed to do was just decide they're not going to have any more children. Women are the essential power of life. That's where every living, breathing human being, regardless to your sexual orientation, has benefited from two things. A woman saying yes to the act, and a woman saying yes and agreeing to having you. So it's about women.
I'm mesmerized.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to play. Now, as I said, I used to think very similar to how he thought, right? And to a certain extent, I still do. But I do it in a much more reformed way. And what I mean by that is because I've matured and I've realized, hey, wait a minute. Women are not at the center of creation. Men are at the center of creation. But that does not mean that women should not be celebrated. That doesn't mean that I now prefer male burliness and all that other stuff. No, it's just about the truth. The Most High is the creator. The Most High is predominantly a masculine entity. Right? So, life comes from him. As we just read, or as I just showed you, it was Brahmin, then Brahma, then Vishnu, then Shiva. Right? That's how it kind of went. That's how creation went. So I don't really understand this whole, the woman is God and all that other stuff. It's kind of weird. But what I played that to point out is that he has because he knows that women cannot create asexually. So that's just weird, bro. Like, what are you talking about? It's weird. But the reason why he left out the man is because he does not celebrate male sexuality. He celebrates women's sexuality. Right? That's how he is. But hold on, I'm going to pause real quick because I want to show you guys, you know, how this guy used to think before he got real mainstream. Okay, so this is Fro back in the day. Like back in the day. But pay attention to his lyrics here.
And leader, yo, my clip's my bitch, I own it and beat her. Shit, dick, missile, tomahawk. One thing I love is sex discussions and armor talk. Who got?
So, he talking about all this like, oh, women are this and that. But honestly, he sees women in a way where he wants to act upon them. He wouldn't say, oh, my clique is my B, I own her and beat her. Like, he wouldn't make quote-unquote misogynist jokes like that. Right? And then he even, like, later on, you know, apologized for his earlier music because he just didn't understand. No, you did understand. Because this is how Venus men are in their sexuality. They actually want to act upon women. They want to be the one who are acting upon them. They want to be in that dominant role. Right? That's just the truth. And the reason why they imitate women is because they only find beauty in their sexuality. They don't find beauty in male sexuality. Because their sexuality is similar to a woman's sexuality. And pretty much they like what women like sexually. You know, so I just found that hilarious that this dude talking and all this other stuff. Like, no, bro, get out of here. Get out of here with that. Anyway, let me read this. So Venus-based men are sometimes looked at as stoics. They usually have a slight frame because the Venus energy makes them initially pretty rather than masculine looking. For women, Venus has to do with sexual vitality. The same applies to men. But men have something that women don't have, and that's the ability to cultivate and store vital fluid, or, you know, what people practice as semen retention. So, you know, Venus-based men, they're a lot more fertile. They produce sperm a lot faster than, you know, other groups of men. You know, and the reason why this is because they have a lot of creativity. The sacral chakra, if we go all the way up here, the orange one, it has to do with both creativity and sexuality. That's what the sacral chakra is. It's about creativity and sexuality because creativity is sexuality. The more sexual you are, the more creative you are. Right? That's the truth. But we cannot run from these conversations. We have to have them so that people accept their whole selves. You know, when you don't accept your full creation, your full being, you're going to be imbalanced. So if I were to hide that from myself, then that monster inside of me would just get bigger and bigger. Right? And there's no point in that. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to sugarcoat and hide things. For what? Like, for what? Everyone needs to be themselves and stop worrying about what other people think. Because the Father doesn't even judge in that way. Why would he judge you for being yourself? As long as you're not hurting other people, you know, and hurting yourself, most things that you do is not that big of a deal. You know, it's not a big deal. If you're into this, and this, bro, who cares? Right? As long as you're following certain guidelines, you just need to worry about yourself. And if you're confused about certain guidelines, then go to the Father. You have the ability to do so. But you don't need to go through people, because people, you know, they try to impart their opinions on other people without even looking into it. I don't try to impart my opinion on anybody. You see, I still view my YouTube channel as, like, you know, art and stuff like that. I view it as my art. So in a way, I'm also viewing it in a, you know, like in a phallus, like it's like a phallus symbol, right? I'm shooting my art into the world, right? I'm thrusting myself into the world, not with myself, but with my art. And I have other artistic ventures that I might do in the future, that I will do in the future, that's not only doing like these types of YouTube videos. There's many different things, right, that I've had plans to do. I want to write books. I want to make movies, like motion pictures and stuff like that. Like, I have other interests, right? I might even I want to, you know, pick up an instrument. I've already picked up a flute, right? And I want people to appreciate that art, that beauty that I'm sharing with them, right? So, continuing, these men also have a lot of creativity because creative energy is directly tied to sexual energy. Them being inwardly masculine rather than outwardly masculine makes them consistent or constantly want to force out their creativity into the world. Therefore, these men are usually drained of this vital energy both physically and mentally. If these men use this energy to store, they could actually build very strong bodies if they decided to do so. So this is the dynamic I said before. The Venus woman is usually looking to impart herself on the Mars man. You know, it's not always very aggressive, right? It could be very subtle. It just depends on the people. But at its very core, this is the dynamic that's going on. And this is also the dynamic that's going on with the Venus man and the Mars woman. So this is my chart right here. I'm not gonna, like, you know, go on for days on it, but I just did a lot of studying in astrology, and I just wanted to share it. And if you guys want to share with me your chart, I can help you out if I'm able to. Again, I am not an astrologist. I'm not. I can only I send you emails, show you what I did, you know, steer you in the right direction, and tell you some things that I know, right? So these are some of, like, my personality traits. And when I learned a lot of this stuff, I was able to accept my whole being. Because in one part of me is very extroverted, but another part is very introverted. Right? That's the Virgo part that's introverted, but the Sagittarius part is extroverted. But when I merged the two, I felt so much more complete. Right? I feel a lot more complete. And then, you know, you're going to see all the Venus energy that I have. I felt so much more complete when I started to stop, like, running away from this stuff, facing it head on, and appreciate the creation that the Father has made me. So if you can't tell, I like freedom, and I'm very outspoken and opinionated because I'm a Sagittarius ascendant with, you know, the planet Jupiter. I have a very strong sense of self, and I love outdoors, just like Sagittarius, most Sagittarius risings, right? You know, I like structure because my Saturn is in Pisces, right there. I like logic and intelligence over emotional expression, and I love humanitarian ventures, but I'm not very good at emotional expression. That's because my moon is in Aquarius. The moon is tied to your emotions. Aquarius is not a very emotional sign, right? It's very logical, but it does like to, you know, share with other people. Now my Rahu, my Ketu, which is my South Node, which denotes your past life. Now, the only reason I was able to figure this out is because I kind of asked the Most High, but I've asked another astrologer, and they said something similar, and I was just like, oh, wow, bro. Because my birthmark is like an impalement on my stomach and on my back. So that means I died in some sort of battle in my past life. So I died early or at a young age or prematurely in war. But I was also most likely very religious in my past life because that has to do with, like, the Ketu in Aries, as well as the Sagittarius and Jupiter. So all this stuff is kind of pointing to me, you know, being a religious zealot and going out to war. Maybe I could have been killed by the Assyrians or something. I don't know, because they did impale many of the people in Judea, the Assyrians, in the same way that I had the birthmark. So who knows? But anyway, now both my Sun and my Venus are both in Virgo. So because the Sun, that's directly tied with your soul, and the Virgo and the Venus are both in the same area. They're damn near conjuncted. Actually, they kind of are conjuncted. But I love beauty, language, art, and music, but they have to be associated with the earth because they're in Virgo. And Virgo has to do with the earth. It makes you a natural lover of the earth. you know, and I love traveling and seeing new lands because I love the earth. Now, this is very peculiar for me because I associate everything that's beautiful with the earth. And when I started realizing that more and more, I felt a lot more comfortable with myself. Right? To the point where, like, I have, like, the women that I find desirable are those that have the qualities of the earth. The feminine qualities of the earth. The earth is non-complaining. The earth is very charitable. But at the same time, she's very protective of her children. You know, those are the qualities that I find attractive in women. Right? Very giving and selfless women, but at the same time, protective women. Right? Those are the type of women that I find attractive. But that's because I have a lot of Venus energy, and particularly it's in Virgo. Right? And even on a very I mean, you could call it strange if you want to, but I like being outdoors, right? I like being outdoors a lot, and I like being like sweaty outdoors. Like I like hiking for long periods of time. Like I'm the type of person, I can't stay in the gym for 30 minutes. I'd rather be hiking for 8 hours than stay in the gym for an hour. I can't do stuff like that, right? Because everything that I do, it has to be beautiful. If I'm working out, well, it has to be beautiful. It can't be in a stinky, sweaty gym with a bunch of meatheads. Like, no, it has to be out in beautiful nature. Seeing new land, new things. Appreciating the beauty of the earth. Right? That's what it is. And when I'm, you know, in nature and I'm sweaty and stuff, that's actually almost like that's like me being intimate. I'll say that word, intimate, with the earth, in the same way how I would be intimate with a woman. Me being like, you know, sweaty and stuff like that. Me smelling the aroma of the earth, like when it's like really like fresh, right? That's like that's like me smelling a womb, right? I'm trying to be PG, bro. I'm trying, but that's what it's like. And even if you want to look at it from how our people viewed the earth, Cusco was known as the navel, and the garden was known as, you know what, right? The pubic hairs of the mother. That's because in the navel is where the child is, and then it's birthed out of where? The vagina. So that's kind of what it is. And maybe, like, I'm like, this is weird, bro, but I'm just called to that area because I'm just like, all right, well, I'm home here, right? This is the homeland. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a sense in my unconscious thinking, right? So I love to speak on, I like to speak and fight for equality, right? Because I have my Mercury in Libra and my Mars and Rahu in Libra. So that makes me very like Libran, but it makes me fight for Libran things. So I love fighting for equality, and I hate inequality to the point where, you know, that's where my emotions will lie. If you want to get an emotional reaction out of me, start treating people unfairly. Because that's the only time you ever see me you know, act emotional on my channel, is when I'm talking about, you know, other people getting treated unfairly, whether it's me or other people. I hate it because that's where my Mars is. So that's where my emotions are, right? And you know, for the lowest degree in your chart, that signifies your what they call the Dharkarka planet, and those are the type of women I prefer. Right, your lowest degree, and of course that's Mars because I have a lot of Venus energy. And the highest planet, it signifies my soul. That your Atmakaraka is it's Saturn, right? So, and that allows me to have a lot of compassion for other people because I went through it. You know, I got humbled very severely as a child by many different people. So that makes me very empathetic towards others. So that's what it is, guys. We have so much more to discuss, man. I don't even know how this video recorded. I'm real happy about that. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. But we have a lot more to discuss. Probably next time we'll go through all the planets, and then we'll probably go back to talking about like the different rules and stuff. And it probably has to do with this chart right here. Right here. It is most likely going to have to do with that chart. So, that's about it, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. May peace be with you.